Okay, students, so let's talk about our first topic in investing. And the first investment we're going to talk about is the most important and the most valuable asset you're going to make, the most important investment you'll ever make, and that's investing in your human capital. Now, if you remember from Unit 1, human capital is our knowledge, our skills, our abilities, the things that you can do that have value, right? Your skills that you can use to get a job and get a paycheck and use that paycheck to pay your bills, meet your needs, etc. So all other assets that you have, your stocks, your bonds, your savings accounts, your checking accounts, all those things first depend upon your human capital, what you can do. And so that's why it's our most important asset, and it's where we're going to start our conversation about investing. Now, from Unit 1, we talked about human capital versus financial capital, right? So this is illustrating how your financial capital, your money, comes from your human capital. And when you're young and early in life, you have lots of energy, your brain is firing at its maximum speed, it's a lot easier to learn new things, you can work longer hours, etc., etc. So human capital starts out pretty high when we're young. And as we learn new skills, etc., we increase our human capital and our ability to earn money. Over time, though, that human capital erodes. We age, our brains slow down, our bodies ache, we have less energy. Okay, just the aging process robs us of our human capital over time, and so our human capital declines over time. You can see the orange, see it going down as we age, and eventually you reach a point where your human capital, it's just not worth selling anymore. Either nobody wants it or you just don't want to anymore. It's too hard, you're too tired, you don't care. And because you took this class and you're paying attention, you use that human capital to save financial capital. And so that's why our financial capital increases over time, and you reach a point where your financial capital is more valuable than your human capital. And when that happens, you choose to retire, you stop working, and you live off your money going forward. And that's how our human capital creates the financial capital that we use to survive our later years. Okay? Now, how you choose to develop human capital is very, very important. Okay? It's your most important investment decision ever. And you're making that decision now and over the course of the next few years as you get your education, enter the workforce, you make early decisions about how you're going to develop your skills. That will affect how much you can earn, where you work, what your job looks like. And that's really a big part of your life, your job. And so that's very important. And so in surveys where we ask students, hey, how do you plan to do this? How do you plan to develop a human capital? Okay. I asked them, what job do you plan to get after you graduate, and what do you expect your salary to be your first year? Okay. What do you expect it to be? And these are the results that I get. And it's always the same every year. The numbers vary a little bit, but it's very consistent. Okay. So you can see that 30% of students have a specific job in mind. I want to be a vet tech. I want to be an oil man. I want to do this. I got something specific in mind. Okay, 30% of students have a particular job in mind. Of those students, 79% answered a salary. So not everyone guessed what their first starting salary would be. 79% of them guessed. Now the average starting salary was $65,000. Okay, the lowest salary I've gotten is $25,000 from a class, and the highest is $120,000. So there's a big range of how much we expect to earn when we graduate from college. Now, 40% of students have an idea of the field they want to go in. Something in healthcare, something in construction, something in business, something in finance. Okay? 40% are like, something in this direction. Okay? And their average estimated starting salary is $75,000, with a range of $30,000 and a maximum of $200,000. Again, this is the range that students think. They think their starting salary will be, on average, $75,000 if they know an area they want to go into but don't have a specific job. Now, students are like, I don't have any idea what I want to do. I don't know what field. I don't know what area. I don't know. That's 25% of students answer that. Okay. And they're less likely to guess what their salary is, but if they do guess, they guess that it's going to be $80,000. Now, do you notice a trend here? The more detail you know about your future, the less optimistic you are about how much you're going to make. Okay? Now, you can take that pessimistically. You're like, well, okay, so if I know what my future is, it's bleak, right? If you've actually done the research and looked into how much you earn in a particular field, your estimates go down. I don't interpret that data this way. I don't think that's what it means. I think what it means is if you don't know, you're just relying on hope. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I hope it's good. That's a bad strategy for investing, and it's a very, very bad strategy for investing in your human capital. Okay? So it's important that you take the time to sit down and say, hey, what type of job do I want to get? What are the requirements? And how do I get them? So you're like, you know what? I want to be a sports agent. I want to be LeBron James's agent. Great. Look up some agents. Who are they? What education do they have? What experience do they have? What's the path? Okay, your first job is not going to be LeBron James' agent. It's just not. Okay, he hires experienced people. Okay, what experience do I need? And you build a path to get there. But you can't just say, I want to be a sports agent, so I'm going to go to college and then be a sports agent. You need to know what it takes. Check the boxes, make the requirements, and then go out and get them. And then plan. You develop a lot of human capital in college. That's true. That's for sure. But you're going to develop a lot of it on the job too. And so you need to pick jobs that lead to the outcome that you want. Okay, that will help you build. Okay? And I'll use myself as an example. So I completed my undergraduate degree in finance and economics in April of 2008. And if you know recent economic history, you know that was a very bad time to be entering the finance field. The stock market was crashing, the economy was crashing, and the hardest hit industry was finance. And the banks were crashing, the investments were dying, and so, trying to get a job in this field wasn't great. So I got a job, wasn't a great job. Okay, it paid me $40,000 a year. But I took it because my boss there was a good mentor. When I interviewed, he told me, look, I know you guys aren't going to stay at this job a long time. I know it's entry level. And so I take the time to teach you about banking and the banking industry and how things work. And he did. He was true to his word. Okay, and so we had meetings. We had a meeting about once a month that was not related to anything we were doing in our job. He just sat down and talked to us about banking. He was a great mentor, and that was valuable. Okay. Now, my next job, I found they would teach me the SQL database programming language. Now, I didn't get paid nearly as much. So my next job, I earned $60,000 at. But for someone to do the tasks I was doing, the going rate was $80,000 a year to do that job. So why did I accept the job for $60,000? Okay, I accepted that job because they would teach me this programming language. So if I took the job, worked there for a couple of years, and got this skill, this database programming skill, I could reasonably expect my next job to pay $80,000. And so what I was doing was I was choosing my jobs based on skills I could get, not necessarily just how much they earned. Of course, the salary mattered. Of course, the salary is important. But that was not my only consideration. And a lot of times what happens is people, they see a job opportunity and they jump and get it because the salary is high. Like, oh, I can make a lot of money here. Hey, that makes sense, right? Oh, I want to make some money. I want to make money. That's great. Let's go make some money. But when you do that, you have a risk of becoming what's called overqualified, okay? Or what other people call a dead-end job. So what happens is you take this job and it pays you a relatively high amount of money, but you're not learning any new skills. And so when you try to leave that job, you don't have any skills to replace that salary. So all the jobs that you can find are at a lower pay. And that's a dead-end job. You're stuck. You can't get out because you don't have the skills to move up. And so, yeah, you got that big salary, great, but there's nowhere to go from there. So when you're thinking about your career and your jobs, think about that. Where can I go from here? Will this job teach me something? Can I develop higher level skills and move up? If that's your goal, of course, to move up. Let's talk about the value of education. There's a lot of debate in society today about the value of education and how much it costs, what its role should be. Some people feel that college education is not as valuable as it used to be. That's actually the opposite. The data shows that the gap between people who have college degrees and people who do not is greater than it's ever been in terms of earnings. Okay. This chart shows you that. So the gray bar is weekly earnings. So if you take that and times it by 4, that's how much you earn in a month. And so you can see high school graduates earn about $700 a week on average, versus those with a bachelor's degree earn about $1,200 a week. That's almost double. Okay. Now, the thing to keep in mind here is that these are averages. Averages, which means there are people who did not go to college who are earning more than people who did. But on the whole, that doesn't happen very much. Okay. Those are more exceptions than rules. That's what this average tells you. Now, the purple area is the unemployment rate by education. So you can see that high school graduates in 2017, their unemployment rate was about 4.5%. Those with a bachelor's degree was about 2.5%. Now, a couple things to note here. Again, those are averages. So you're more likely to be unemployed if you don't have a bachelor's degree than if you do. However, keep in mind, point number 2 here, that unemployment rate for bachelor's degrees is not 0. It's not 0. Just getting a degree does not mean you'll make a lot of money or have a job. They're not guarantees. The education just gives you better chances and improves your odds. It's up to you to make the most out of that education and cash it in well and effectively. And that's what this lecture is about. How do I cash that in? How do I take my education and get value from it? Okay. A few things to keep in mind. Okay. This chart shows lifetime earnings by college major. And so you can definitely see that some majors pay more overall than other majors. However, that is not the whole story. Okay, so let's look, for example, let's compare English to electrical engineering, say. Now, the average for electrical engineering is definitely higher than the average for English majors, right? You can see that little bar in the middle shows you the average. But if you look outside, so the light blue on the right is the top 25%. Top 25% English majors, you can see here, earn a pretty good amount of money, more than the average electrical engineer. Do you see that? The top 25% English majors earn more than the average electrical engineer. What's that mean? It means it doesn't matter so much what your major is. It matters that you do it well, okay? It doesn't matter what you do. Be good at it. If you do English, you get really good at critical thinking, writing, communicating. Take that and do it anywhere. Those are really useful skills, guys. Really useful skills. Liberal arts, creative thinking. Man, the ability to think creatively and apply that to problem solving is extremely valuable. If you're good at that, if you really apply yourself to the liberal arts, you can make a lot of money. Okay? So if you're going to choose a particular major, choose to do well at it. Engage, talk to your professors, go to industry conferences, study, go above and beyond. Don't just scrape by, do the minimum to pass your class. You're not here to pass classes. Okay? You are here to learn and develop skills. If you get through your college education without learning how to learn, learning how to solve problems, learning how to navigate the college system, If you get through college without learning anything, and I admit it is possible, okay, it is certainly possible to pass classes and find a major where you can pass classes without actually really learning anything, then you have wasted your education. And you'll be one of those people who complains, oh, I paid for college, I paid for so much for college, and I'm not even earning anything from it. It's because you didn't learn anything from it. If you want to earn, you gotta learn. Sounds like a meme. I should make up a meme for that. Okay. All right, let's talk about how you actually get the job. Okay. There's 3 components to the job search. Okay, first, your application. Your application consists of your cover letter and your resume. Okay. Now, a lot of people talk about the importance of the resume. Resume's got to look good, have the right information, how long should it be. Lots and lots of tutorials and tips and hints and ideas and templates for how to build a good resume. And don't get me wrong, the resume is very important. But the cover letter often gets overlooked. I would argue, personally, I feel that the cover letter is more important than the resume. Okay? Because the cover letter tells them that they should look at your resume. You go out there and you apply for a job on Monster.com or Indeed.com or one of those websites. Those people, those employers, are getting thousands of job resumes submitted. Thousands. They need a way to filter through. Okay? And so they use computers and algorithms to check for keywords. That's one way they do it. But another way they do it, and an important one, is they look at your cover letter. Okay? A cover letter is just a brief sign, a brief little write-up that tells them why you're interesting. Okay? It's your neon sign. It's your billboard that says, hey, my resume is awesome. Come check it out. Okay? Now, a good cover letter has 3 essential things. Okay? First, it tells them why you want this job. Okay? I need money is not a good enough answer. Find a reason why. Even if I just need a paycheck is the actual reason why you want the job, find up another one. Find more reasons. What's good about the company? What do you like about the company? Why did you choose this job over that job? Because any job will give you a paycheck. Some jobs you didn't apply for. Why did you apply for this one and not those ones? You don't have to be super excited. It doesn't have to be your dream job. But it should be a reason. Okay? Have you ever had a job that you didn't really care about, didn't want to be there? I think all of us probably have at some point. That's okay. That's natural. How hard, though, did you work at that job? Did you apply yourself? Did you problem solve? Did you develop the company? Did you help? Or did you have to be dragged in there kicking and screaming? For me, it was kicking and screaming. Right? I don't like this job. I don't want to be here. I don't care about it. Yeah, I wasn't a great employee at those jobs, right? And so if you're the person doing the hiring, you're looking for people who might care a little bit about the job. Show them why this is more valuable to you in your cover letter. Okay, second, show them what's unique about you that they want. Skills, personal characteristics, etc. Now, the key here is unique. Okay, I get lots of students who bring me their cover letters and say, what do you think about this cover letter, Dr. Payne? And almost all of them say, I have a degree in X from Western Carolina University. Well, that's great and that's fine, but that's not unique. Everyone who's applying has a degree. If the job requires it, then they all have it. And so that's not unique about you. That's in your resume. Put that in your resume for sure. They need to see that you're qualified. But your cover letter is very short. I like my cover letters to be 10 sentences. I mean, just boom, right to the heart of what's good about you. Don't waste your space on that. Okay? So highlight relevant experiences. Highlight personal characteristics. Now, if you're like, hold on, I'm applying for a job to be an accountant, and the only work experience I have is flipping burgers at McDonald's. That's not relevant to accounting. What do I do? Okay. You're not dead. You're not done. There's solutions. Okay. Look at the rest of your life. Are there things you have done, activities you've done that demonstrate personal characteristics let's say you were in the Boy Scouts. Okay? I learned dedication, I learned honesty and integrity, I learned how to show up and get things done as a Boy Scout. Put that in. Okay? You worked at McDonald's, great. Did you ever have to close the till? Clean out the register, count the money? Or maybe you were a waiter. Waiters handle money and cards, credit cards, right? Say, hey, I was trusted to handle customers' money. Or if you're a waiter, maybe you can say, I had to learn how to deal with difficult people. I had to learn how to keep people happy, provide them with a quality customer experience. That's really valuable in the business world. Okay? So even though, being a waiter doesn't help you, right? It's not related to being a veterinary technician, but the skill of welcoming people, helping customers feel good, right? That's valuable. And your job as a waiter taught you that skill. Show it. Okay? Now, you do need to show it. It's very, very easy to say, oh, I'm a hard worker, right? Like, oh, I'm a hard worker and an honest person, please hire me. It's super easy to say that. Prove it. Prove that you have those characteristics with your experiences. I'm good with customers because I was a waiter. I'm trustworthy because I handled the money for this company. I worked for my dad's company and he had me handle the money. Great. That shows trustworthiness. Maybe you were just in the band during college. You didn't have a job. You just were in the band. You can say, hey, I went to school full time and I was in the band. And the band was very time intensive, took a lot of my time. And so I had to get very organized and be very productive. I had to learn how to do that because I had limited time because I was in the band. So being the band it's not directly relevant experience, but it says something about you. It proves, shows that you can get things done, that you can be organized, you can manage time, you can handle the stress. You see what I'm talking about? Take those experiences and demonstrate how those have given you skills and characteristics that are valuable. All right, final thing, you need to show them that you know something about the company. This is how you identify what they want. Which personal characteristics should you demonstrate? Okay, so go to the company's website. Almost every company has a link to their mission or their statement of values or what we're all about or who we are, something like that. Click on that and go in and see what it says. Okay. If it talks all about trustworthiness, integrity, customer first, then that's what you talk about in your cover letter. Okay. If it talks about hard work, caring about the environment, then that's what you put in your resume. Show them that you are what they're looking for. Because they're not just looking for skills, they're also looking for personal fit. Do you fit the culture of this company? Will we like you? Put that in. That means you're going to have to take time. It takes me about an hour to apply for a job. Yeah, an hour. But that's because I'm doing research. Who's the company? Who are the main players? What's their history? What are their mission and values? And then I'm crafting this cover letter that makes me look like exactly the type of person they want. Now, I know that's frustrating because you want to just submit your resume 1,000 times and be done. But that's exactly why it doesn't work. If you submit 1,000 resumes that have no thought behind them, no cover letter, you just mass email your resume, what do you think will happen? What happens when you get a mass email? What do we call mass emails? We call them spam, don't we? What do you do with those? You just delete them, right? So you can spend your time sending out 1,000 resumes and get nothing, no results back. But you can take your time and send out 20 good resumes and you'll have more success with a small number of really good targeted cover letters and resumes than you will with a huge pile of generic, I'm a good person, I work hard type of cover letters, okay? If you put in the time, it pays out. it does. So here's an example of a cover letter. My friend posted this. She's the red person, and she posted this on Facebook, and I'm the blue, so that I wrote that response there. So let's just look. This is how a cover letter works, okay? She said, there's an open position for a laundry fairy at my house. Hours a couple times a week, more during potty training season and diaper blowout days. Salary, no money, just my deep love for you. And here's my cover letter response I wrote to her. It said, Dear Sir or Madam, I'm writing to you because I believe an excellent candidate for your position of laundry fairy. My unique academic situation has prepared me for a life of no salary, and I have been subsiding solely on love of a great woman for many years now, so the pay will not be an issue for me. If you examine my resume, you will find that I took a class on differentiating between the washer and dryer, and schooled through the classroom and practical experience in the appropriate use of bleach. I also have attached pictures I drew in elementary school as demonstration of my ability to differentiate whites from colors. I'm available to interview anytime at your convenience and look forward to hearing from you. Okay, so this is obviously a joke, right? Like laundry fairy. But do you see what I did there? Look at her job position. The pay is not money, but love. Did I show her that I'm okay with no money? I'm okay with just love? Yeah, I showed her that I fit that. I showed her that there's reason to believe that I can wash clothes properly. I won't ruin them with bleach. I won't mix the whites and colors, right? I showed her that I could do that, okay? And so this type of cover letter, you write a cover letter like this, you're going to raise eyebrows. People are going to be like, whoa, this person sounds really interesting. And that's the whole point, is to get them interested, to look at your resume and interview you. Now, this type of writing is, in my opinion, the hardest kind of writing to do. This took me like a half hour to write, just as a joke. But it's very, very hard to say a lot with very few words. And so take the time to practice. While you're in college, take it to the Writing and Learning Commons. Right? Go find tutors to help you hone it down. And then practice doing it yourself, because you won't always have them around to help you. Okay? But the better you can get at this, the more effective it will be. So take the time to build a good cover letter. Now, I'm not going to talk a lot about the resume. There's lots of resources for that out there. I'm going to talk about the interview. Okay? And the interview is kind of an interesting thing. If they're calling you for an interview, then they already think you're qualified. They wouldn't waste their time talking to you in person if they didn't think you had the basic qualifications to do the job. So if you've got the interview, you don't often have to prove that you've got the skills. Sometimes you do, but most of the times that's not their main concern. They may ask about it, but that's not what they're primarily worried about. What they're worried about is that, will you fit here? Let's think about it a little bit. Let's say you go into work at 8 and you come home at 5. You log 8 hours of work in the office in a day. You get home at 5, you're with your family from 5 to midnight, let's say. You go to bed at midnight. That's 7 hours. Then you sleep midnight till 7. That's another 7. You wake up at 8 and get ready to go to work. You will spend about as much time with your coworkers as you will with your spouse in your life. 8 hours at home, 8 hours at work. Okay? Not counting weekends, right? My point is that you're going to be spending a lot of time around these people. A lot of time. The interview is where they assess, do I like this person? Do I want to sit next to them for 8 hours a day? Do I want to do that? Do they fit our culture? Are they a nice person? Do they smell good? Do they look good? Do they know how to dress clean? Okay. That's a lot of what they're assessing in the interview. And so it's okay to let your personality a little bit. You don't have to be really stiff and buttoned up. It's okay to relax a little. Now, you need to know what's appropriate for your industry. Not every industry that's appropriate. If you're going to be a lawyer, if you're going to be an accountant, they don't care as much about that. They do because they're human, but they also want to see a lot of professionalism out of you. But if you're going to be the director of an art museum, you probably need to show a lot more personality, right? So you need to know what's good for the industry. Okay? So how do you build the confidence to go in there and do well in the interview? Okay, because nerves will ruin your presentation. Being so nervous and wound up, it'll make you stiff. It'll make you not funny. It makes you a lot less likable. Okay? So the first thing I recommend is be prepared. If you've taken the time it takes to craft a good cover letter and to customize your resume, then you know this company, you know their values, you know what they're looking for. Sit down, you can Google like interview questions. Okay? You can look at common questions and try to anticipate what they may ask you, and then practice answering them. Stand in front of your mirror and speak aloud the words in your response. Tell us a time that you had conflict with a coworker and how you resolved it. Well, I did this, and to give your answer, okay? It feels awkward. You feel dumb. You're like, why am I sitting here talking to the mirror? Okay? But there's a big difference between having words in your head and getting your mouth to say them out loud. Practice saying the words out loud so you don't trip over your tongue when you're trying to say them to them in the interview, because you're going to be a lot more nervous in the interview. Okay, so be prepared, practice aloud your responses. Okay, and that will give you a degree of confidence and you won't feel quite so nervous. Okay. Second, maximize your time in college. Be a part of student clubs, go to professional conferences, okay, do some internships. If you don't know how to find these things, where they're at, ask your professors. Okay? And they can help you, or they should be able to help you. But going to these things, going to conferences and doing internships, it gives you exposure to people in your industry. How do vets talk? What types of jokes do they make? What do they do at the end of a conference when they're done with all the meetings? What do they do for fun? Do they go to the bar? Do they go to a restaurant? How do they carry themselves? How do they talk? What kind of people work in this industry? And that will prepare you to be more comfortable. When you're going to interview, you're like, hey, I've met thousands of people just like these people who are interviewing me. It's no big deal. I've done this before. Okay? I know how they talk. I know what they like. And I can be one of them. Okay? But you can't become one of them if you don't know what they are. And so that's why it's important to do these activities while you're in college. Get that experience. The experience of just meeting them is valuable in and of itself, even if you don't do anything else. Okay? Do workshops. Okay? Lots of schools offer resume workshops, interview workshops, cover letter workshops, where you could practice and get feedback and advice on these aspects of your job application. Okay? Take advantage of them. And they can be very helpful in helping you feel confident that you've got what you need to succeed. Okay? And then my last recommendation is it's okay to be humble. You're applying for your first professional job. Okay? You don't have any experience. They know that. And I've seen young, recent graduates go to job interviews and they're very cocky. Like, oh yeah, I studied this and I did that and I had a 4.0 and I was the president of my club and blah, blah, blah. And look, those things are great, fantastic, wonderful. But don't be cocky about it. Because the people who are interviewing you have been doing this job for 20 years, 10 years, 15 years. Okay? It's okay. They know that you don't have lots of experience. You couldn't have lots of experience. You're too young because there's been no time, right? It's okay. It's okay to embrace that. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to be a master of everything. In fact, one of the things that employers like to see when a young, fresh college graduate is interviewing is humility, a willingness to listen and learn. So that may be one of the things you like about the job. You're like, you know, I recognize this is an entry-level job. It's not that glamorous, but, you know, I just want to be a part of a company that shares my values, and I want to have a chance to learn from people who work for the best. You guys are the best. You're the best accounting firm. This vet firm shares my values. I want to learn from you. And I'm excited to do that. And so when they ask you, what is this, right? And you're worried. You're preparing for your interview and you're worried. What if they ask me about this? I didn't do very well in that class in college. Oh, I'm in big trouble. It's okay to be humble in the interview and say, you know what? I don't feel like I have a really great grasp of that yet, but I'm really excited to learn. I learn quickly and I work hard. I did that in college, and I want to do that here. You guys share my values. You have the expertise I want, and I'd love to come and work here and learn from you and be part of a great team. And I think you have a great team, and I'd like to be a part of it. Answers like that can be very valuable. Again, it depends on the industry, right? If you just graduated from law school and sitting down and saying, well, I don't know a lot about the law, okay, that probably won't work. But that's why you go to the conferences and do internships and engage with the industry while you're still in school, because you'll learn, do they want to see humble candidates or they want you to be cocky? And it will depend on the firm and the industry, and it will vary a little bit. But by and large, employers, when they're interviewing a young candidate, okay, when you're 45, 50 and you're applying to be the CEO, then humility, probably, not the best route to go. But when you're 22, 23, and you're applying for your first professional job in your chosen industry, a little humility is okay. And so forgive yourself. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to be a master. There's no substitute for experience. They know that. Okay? And so you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be. And in fact, a lot of times people get stuck in this conundrum. They're like, I have no experience, but all the jobs say they require 3 years experience, so there's no jobs for me to apply for. Okay. Apply anyway. What they're doing when they do that, here's an entry-level job that takes 3 or 5 years of experience. You're like, well, then it's not entry-level, right? What they're doing is they're fishing. They're hoping that somebody with more experience will apply. Go ahead and apply anyway. Now, maybe you won't make the cut, but you don't know. Try it anyway. You write up a good cover letter, good resume. If it's actually entry level, they'll give you a chance without experience, even if the job post says otherwise. Don't let that deter you. Now, if it says 15 years experience, then that's not entry level. Don't waste your time applying. Okay. That's okay. And the last tip I have for you: fake it until you make it. Okay. The confidence. Let yourself come out a little bit. Think of it like a first date. Right? You don't want to hide who you are on a first date. Because if you want this relationship to have any type of long-lasting, to last at all, you can't lie about who you are. And you shouldn't in your interview either. Okay? But you can put your best foot forward. And you can, show them the best of you. And sometimes you just kind of fake it. You're like, okay, I don't feel confident, but I'm going to act confident anyway. How would a confident person act? Let me try to act that way. Because you can be scared on the inside, but act confident anyways. That works. That can be done. And you can practice that. You can practice that while you're still in school. That's part of why you go to internships and conferences and student clubs. And you meet strangers and you push yourself outside your comfort zone. You're practicing. Having confidence even when you feel certain. Or showing confidence even when you feel scared or uncertain. You can practice that in your interactions at school. And that's valuable. That's valuable. And so take your time. When you're in school, let's get the most out of it. Okay? Yes, study and do well in your classes, but also step out of your classes and engage. Talk to your professors. Get to know them. It can be scary to knock on a professor's door. I know. I've been there. I was a student for 10 years. I know what it's like to be a student. And I know how scary it can be to knock on a professor's door. Go knock anyway. Because the very act will help you develop courage and help you face your fears and become who you want to become. And get the skills and the human capital that you need in order to make the most out of your education and live a great life.